right, but let's talk about the man of the hour. We took a video of Tibbs kind of talking about Julius Randle. Well, no, before we get into the video, let's just look at what Julius Randle has been doing this season. We call him Mulligan real quick. So far, Julius Randle this season has more points than Giannis or Dame Lillard. He's got more rebounds than Jokic or Gobert. He's got more assists than Steph or Kyrie. And he's got more three-pointers than Luka or James Harden. He's also got more free throws made than Ja Morant or Kevin Durant. So you can see Julius Randle is listed with the elites of the elites, you know, and he's been playing phenomenal. He's been knocking down the three. He's been getting to the free throw line. He's been finishing around the rim. And if he can continue to play like this, the sky is the limit. You know, we need that guy that we can look to get a bucket. And not only does he get a bucket, he's getting you some rebounds. And when he makes the right decision and keeps his head up, he can find open guys all over the court. So, you know, Julius Randle has been balling out. And if he can continue to play like this, then I think this team can definitely expect to be in the second round, especially if the guys around him can feed off the high level of play he's performing out there on the court.
Yeah, and just like it was a travesty that Brunson didn't make the All-Star game, if Julius, with 20 games to go, man, you know, it doesn't make at least second team All-NBA, you know, it's criminal. It's that New York hate again. But again, shout out to Julius, man. That's, you know, Tommy Beer, shout out to him. You know, we can't have a podcast without his wonderful tweets and information. Yep. So that says it all, man. That he's in the who's who. He has more points across all those different metrics than the who's who in the league. So he deserves it, man.
My bad, Foxy. Did I take it away before you?
No. We're perfect. Thank you.
All right, cool. So now I wanted to jump into a video about Tibbs talking about Julius Randle and some of the shots he's been putting up.
Years under you, he's really been getting these shots up. And how tough has that been on defenses when you know he's going to shoot, and you know he could shoot from outside, he could hurt you with the power inside, and just how you've helped him kind of change his game?
Well, it's, you know, when we talked about that from 3 years ago, that we were at such a great deficit team wide, and we felt that if he would change his shot profile, it would change his game, and it did. And 3 years ago, he shot over 40 from three, and it opened up because he's got the great first step, he's got the power, he can attack the rim. So when he's hitting that shot, it opens the floor up for us. And so we always felt like if we could get closer, and there was a wide gap, we were at a huge deficit. So the whole plan was, let's close the gap. And so we wanted to be high volume, and I think we're 8th or something like that, 7th or 8th in the league in three-point attempts, and try to get to league average. And we challenged every player to do it. And so it's, you know, it's a team response. So not only to take them, but to create them. So how do you create them? You got to attack the rim, and then you got to make rim reads. And so if there's traffic, spray it. If you're one-on-one, you got an angle to the basket, go. Also getting to the free throw line. And you look at his free throw attempts, they've gone way up. Those are high-value shots. So, you know, we wanted to put more of a limit on the mid-range shot. You know, not that we say never, but there's a time and place, and that's, you know, we had to get the volume of those down. And I think he has. I think that's been a big change for him.
So here we have on screen a snapshot of Julius Randle's shot profile over the last 4 years. And as you can see, the two-pointers year over year have just dropped dramatically. When he first got here, it was 77% of his shots were two-pointers. Now it's down to 56.2%. You look at the three-pointers, 23. He only shot 23% of his shots were, you know, three-pointers. Now you look at it this year, 43.8% are three-point shots. And of course, you know, he's not shooting it lights out like we saw in 2021, but he's shooting it pretty decent for the most part. And as long as he's, you know, knocking down the three, it makes him extremely difficult to guard, because you saw in the game yesterday, what did he knock down? Like a 27 footer off the pull-up.
Yeah, that was kind of wild. that was almost logo level.
Yeah, and you know, you see how big Julius Randle is. If you have to step up that far, you know, he's got that explosive first step, and then once he gets you on his hip, there's nothing you can do. You can't stop him. And if he's continuing to make the right reads, once he collapsed the defense, you know, if the offense is flowing through him, it's pretty much unstoppable for the most part. So as long as he's able to threaten teams with that three-point shot, I think you know, we're going to see this level of production from him. And that's I haven't been the biggest Julius Randle fan throughout his time here with the Knicks. But one thing I've said is if that 3-point shot is falling and people are fearing it, then he's a hard guy to guard. So you can see Tibbs has mentioned it, and up on the screen we kind of compiled some of his shots throughout his time, and you can see the mid-range for the most part is kind of, I won't say evaporated, but you see 2020 2021 he shot 20% of his shots from 10 to 16. Now it's only 12.5. You look at the 3 to 10, only 14.4% of his shots are from there. And then the big one I think is the 16 to pretty much 3-point range, which is not necessarily high value shots. Those are deep twos. You see what he did the last 2 years. 16.7% of those shots were from deep two. 21-22, 14.4% of those shots were from deep two. Now this season only 6.4, and I think that is where you're starting to see a lot of Julius Randle's success, because last couple years he was bailing teams out by taking those deep 2-point shots. Now he's forcing teams to react by either stretching out the defense a little bit more by taking 3-point shots or attacking the basket like a bull in a china shop.
Yeah. And from a Tibbs perspective, this is the modern NBA. At 88 shots yesterday, 48 were threes. So that you could see our mix now, shooting more threes than twos, and that 20% difference from the 2 going to 3%. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. And also one of the key things that he said, and what we've been seeing, those massive dunks, him being aggressive, getting to the rim. If you're a defender and you're worried about him, because he's unbelievable for his size, especially north-south, he'll blow right past you. So if you're taking a defensive posture, like I got to be cool, he'll eat you up from one place or the other. So he's a very, very, or he'll kick it out, like spray that ball around to the open guy. So that's really valuable, man.
Yeah, so I'm liking the way Julius Randle has been performing so far this season. You listen to some of his post-game press conferences and interviews and stuff like that. He says a lot of it is mental. He feels like he's in a good space right now to be a good teammate. We've heard it on 2 occasions. We heard it when he was talking about some conversations he had in private with Johnny Bryant, and then we also heard it after the Wizards games, where he's in a space mentally where he can be the best teammate he can be. And I think that frees up a lot of the guys on the team, because you look at it last year, he was barking on guys. I'm pretty sure they were stepping on eggshells around it, because they didn't know what type of Julius Randle they were going to deal with from game in to game out. I mean, us as fans, we were calling him Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. We didn't know what type of Julius we were going to have game in to game out. But now we're seeing a consistent effort from Julius Randle. We're seeing a consistent high level of play, and I think his teammates are starting to feed off of that. So this is great news as a Knicks fan, to see one of our best player, if not our best player, really figuring things out and being able to replicate the all NBA type of play we saw from 2 years ago. And not only is he being able to replicate that level of success, I think he's taking it a step further and having an even better season this year.
Yeah, and what I love about it, that he extended by saying, besides being the best teammate that he can be, best husband he could be, the best father he can be. So, like you said, sometimes, he had a kid a couple of years ago. We didn't know if that was impacting him, like asleep. That changes everything. So him having a life balance where he's happy in life, and happy in the court, that changes everything, man. It comes, you could just see it in his demeanor, like, whew, thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. I got my life back.
Yeah, he definitely seems relieved.